Welcome, yo. Pleasure to have you here. So, for this episode, we're going to be going through something pretty dear to what's happening currently in the industry. Going over, balancing creativity, holistic practices, and mental health for developers. With that being said, I'd like to start us off by first off just welcoming you guys to the topic. We're going to be talking about how developers can practice mental health, especially in light of what's been happening in the industry in regards to Unity and the game engine. Now, I understand things have been walked back or talked about being walked back, but still the damage has been done to people's mental, to their mental in terms of their career and how they view themselves in the industry. And I just really want to talk about that and how we can really talk about how developers can help themselves going through this hard time. First, I wanted to start by just going over what really happened. So here I have this article from The Guardian, right? Game developers furious that Unity game engine announces new fees, right? So let's go over this real quick. The company behind the Unity engine, one of the major game development tools used by independent studios, has announced a controversial new fee starting from 1st of January. Unity will charge developers each time a game using the engine is downloaded. The charge will begin when sales reach a threshold of $200,000 in revenue over 12 months and 200,000 total installs. Charges will vary depending on the license the developer has with Unity, but will be as high as 20 cents per install, right? This was released in September 13th, 2023. Just to give you the brief recap of what sparked all this. So that right there is really what got developers especially furious, right? So let's go down it a little bit further, right? So what exactly is a game engine? How is it able for these developers to charge these fees versus other game engines and so much? I mean, technically the developers of Unity, but I'm more so the company of Unity, right? So what a game engine is an all-in-one platform where game developers can develop games using preset physics engines and other engines involving gameplay mechanics and how they can route and produce their games for commercial or not even commercial. You can do like a game jam too. Releases. Some of the most popular, for an example, would be Unity, Epic Games, Godot, Default, GameMaker, GDevelop, to name a few, as well as like proprietary softwares of certain studios. With that being said, let's speak about one publisher, one developer that has released a game, and they are superb action roguelike Cult of the Lamb, right? Let's talk about this. Cult of the Lamb developer threatens to delete game on January 1st amid Unity backlash. We have an indie developer threatening to delete their game due to the new pricing model that Unity has imposed. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, maybe this is a little over the top. But in actuality, for those keeping up with what's been happening in the space, I don't really blame them. Like, you use this software with the understanding that the prior financialization models were in place, and then they literally spring this on you. They literally sprung this on a lot of developers. And that's what we're here really to talk about. The mental effect of that, right? So let's get into it, right? So we have these corporations, right, that, wow, they control so much, particularly if they have their own software that other developers are using to build their businesses off of. They literally have the sand. There's no other way to put it. Like, they have the sand, and other people have built castles on their sand. And since this company distinctly knew that, they thought that they had the right to change their revenue model, basically, more or less at the drop of a hat with no real prior announcement to this. and just expected everybody to be cool with it. Obviously, the industry was not cool with it. Developers in the gaming ecosystem already have so much they have to deal with. For an example, help us understand the landscape a little more. There's a lot of pressures being a developer in the gaming space. Not only developers in outside of gaming, but just developing in gaming is very different. For an example, one of the biggest pressures for bigger corporations and smaller indie teams is crunch, which is described, right? It's related to burnout, is identified by emotional exhaustion, reduced personal accomplishment, and feelings of hopelessness. The average number of employers for game developers in a 5-year period is 2.2. Job instability is related to increased stress, work anxiety, and depression. All right, so we got that from Venture Beat when they talked about that and how the gaming industry affects mental health of developers. So that's one thing developers are already dealing with, right? And that's just in the industry itself. And let's talk about something else, right? The IGDA reported that only a third of developers remain in the industry for 10 years or more. And it is said that 53% of game developers report that crunch, working for more than 40 hours per week over an extended period of time, is an expected component of their employment, with less than 18% reporting overtime compensation for exceeding 40 hours a week of work, right? There's already stress enough on developers and aspiring developers in this space for what they know it to be. And then to really just plop this on them. In addition, so imagine this. You've been crunching for a game, either for a corporation, a small indie studio, or solo. And you made your game in Unity. And they spring this on you. The mental effects that could have on someone are so immense. So immense. And I don't really think that the corporation of Unity really thought about that decision. I don't think they really did at all. Of what that could have on the people using their software. People dedicated 10 years of their life to learning and teaching and building. And you're going to spring this on them as if you'll be all right. Wild to me. So let's talk about a couple of things about what we can do in the midst of that stress. All right, so the context of stress management. We have a variety of stress management techniques that developers can use, such as meditation, which I highly suggest. Meditation has not only been very powerful for my life, but I know it works for a lot of other people, and it's been in human history for so long. We just know at this point it is very valuable. And the cool thing about meditation is there's not one way to do it. You can focus on your breath. You can focus on the sound on the room, or this could be music that you're playing. You could focus your mind on one particular thought that gives positive emotions. For an example, an affirmation. There's a lot of different ways you could do this. You could also do this in conjunction with yoga, or yoga by itself. And if we're talking about yoga, we might as well talk about exercise. Exercise and really just doing things that you love to remind you of the peace and tranquility that you have inside of yourself and how to find it. And one other aspect I'd like to really add to this is journaling. Journaling is beautiful, bro. Absolutely wonderful. It allows you to see your mind on the page and to recognize these hidden subconscious beliefs and as well as what's on your mind. And it frees it. You can go back and read what your mind literally looked like, what you were thinking. I love it. I love it so much. And I think this would be really helpful for developers during this time period about realizing that they are going to be okay. They will find a way. You will find a way. And practicing some of these stress management techniques, I think, will really help bring in that wave of positivity and to keep moving forward against the current climate that is happening. Right? And also making sure to find work-life balance. Making sure you're, once again, exercising, going outside, seeing your friends, spending time with your loved ones, pursuing hobbies outside of gaming and the industry. And bro, getting enough sleep. Like, that's something I think a lot of people around the world could do. I myself could get more sleep myself. Just making sure we're taking care of ourselves so that when instances like this happen, we can think clearer about our next move. Right? And making sure that we're also taking break and time for ourselves in the context of self-care. When was the last time you went to a spa, dog? Me? Myself? Been a cold minute. I haven't been one in a while. But what I have done, taking a nice hot shower. Really enjoyed it. Sometimes a cold shower. And just meditating in the feeling of the coldness and just like listening to podcasts. Getting the regular checkups from your doctors. As well as drinking water. My gosh. And not working so hard. Work hard, but not to the point you start to dislike what you're doing. If that's happening to you in the context of a workplace, do everything you can to allow yourself that time to heal and to speak to your supervisors if possible. Also, we can get professional help from a therapist, which can be really useful in freeing up our mind and having someone who is really trained in how to help us work through our mental blockages. Right? And this will help us build resilience. Resilience in ourselves and resilience for further in the industry, because we'll be better suited to handle the challenges, like example, what is happening with Unity, that are thrown into our face. In my personal opinion, I think that this is a net positive in a way for the industry. By that I mean, we've had a company that was, it was moving along. It was doing good. It was the next step compared to Epic Games, and their Unreal Engine 5, the latest. And what happened? We find out that they do not have our best interests at heart. Hey, man. It's better to see the snake before you step into the grass. That's really how I see it. More people are aware. More people are thinking about open source alternatives like Godot or Cocos. I think as a net positive, this is just enhance the awareness of developers on how these large corporations, if given the leeway, will try and take advantage of you. They literally will, and they do not care how much time and effort you've spent using their products or donated with your wallet to them. And hopefully this leads us to a brighter future in regards to something like what's been happening in design space with Blender. I know Godot and Cocos are on their way to doing that, but people aren't completely at the whim of a corporation. Bringing that ideology and also just awareness to the forefront, I think that is a net positive. And I can't wait to see how we evolve as an industry moving forward. Because at the end of the day, it's up to the developers. They're the ones building. And that's what's going to help us move forward. And if they're good, we'll be good. And get even better games too. So, yeah, I just wanted to stop in real quick and talk to you guys about that. And just make sure that people see that there is positivity we could take from this. And moving forward, as long as we keep everything that we talked about in terms of our mental health, taking care of ourselves, and preparing ourselves for potential obstacles in our path, we'll be good. I want you guys to have a great night. Stay safe. Peace and love. Until next time.